Bonjour everyone, I am Anne-Lise Cailliez and welcome to Parlez-vous CEO, where we ditch the corporate talk and get real about entrepreneurship. Each week, I chat with founders and CEOs who build businesses their way, through the failures, pivots, and breakthroughs. And they bring the fire. Plus, I'll drop some golden nuggets of wisdom from my own entrepreneurial journey. This is your space to grow, learn, and evolve with a true growth mindset. Remember, success isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Now let's kick things off and get this party started. Hello, bonjour, bonjour, hello, and welcome to another episode of Parlez-vous CEO. My name is Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I am your host. For those who are just joining the podcast, we're Brandora, and we specialize in helping real estate companies scale their revenue. If you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth in the DMs. And so today, I am very excited to have a very special guest. I am with Jennifer Fox from Boulder. Jennifer, hi. It's such a pleasure to have you. In your own words, would you share with our audience a little bit about your story, your background, and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I am Jennifer Fox. Offices are in Louisville, Colorado, which are just adjacent to Boulder. So we mainly are working inside Boulder and Denver area. And I started the company back in 2002 with just a few properties. So I had been pretty entrepreneurial in different areas. I was business consulting and I was running another little organization, but I was doing it and really working on behalf of other people. And I had this opportunity to take on these first few properties. And so it was brand new to me in 2002. And I slowly grew it while I was doing some other work. And in 2010, I brought on a partner and that allowed us to take it to the next level. So I had not initially intended to go into real estate or into property management, but I think that what's real for many of us is that we don't always go into what we intended to go into. It's how we run our business and what we do with our business that matters more than anything. So whether we're providing a service or selling, some sort of widget, it's the type of company that we want to grow and it's the goals and ambition we have inside of that makes the biggest difference. So real estate ended up being the thing that I decided to jump into.
I love that. I definitely ended up in real estate 20 years ago by coincidence. It's never really something I had thought about before. And so I saw that you actually studied psychology, right?
Yeah. I studied psychology in college, the University of California, Berkeley, and I actually grew up here in Boulder, but I went to Berkeley for school and I was a soccer player. So I ended up out there to play soccer and go to school. And psychology felt like a major that would encompass a lot of knowledge for me. And it gave me a lot of flexibility in studying a lot of different elements of interest. And I will say that when I graduated, my first intention was to go get my master's and PhD in psychology. And what's interesting that I think a lot of us do is we sometimes need to take that step to see, is it really what we want to do? Because I went and started having interviews for PhD programs. And as I was interviewing, it's when I was learning, as I said the things and answered the questions, I realized this is not what I really want to do. So I think it's a really good exercise that if you are interested in doing something, go explore it, ask people questions, have them ask you, and you will start to figure out what you really want to do.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's by doing, because we have all these ideas and fantasy sometimes of what we want to do. Mm-hmm. And as you do them, sometimes that's when you realize, maybe not so much. Maybe that's not really what I want to do in the end. So I think it's amazing how you got that opportunity to test it out and have these conversations and these interviews to realize that's maybe not what I want to do.
Exactly.
And Jennifer, do you have any stories or do you remember one of your first clients when you started your business?
Yeah, I actually do have a first kind of most memorable client, which was that I was doing this on my own and my business partner had not joined me yet. And I was starting to advertise and tell people what I was doing. I was just trying to grow the company. And I got a phone call from a couple who had 7 properties that they had hired someone to manage for them. And for many years, they had a trusted relationship with this person, but this person was no longer able to manage their property. So they were out looking for somebody new. And at the time, I had 28 properties. I was very new at it. And I remember them inviting me to their house and I sat at their dining room table with them, husband and wife, very, very smart, thoughtful people. And I think I interviewed with them for like 2 hours. But what was amazing at the end is they chose me. And it was this big moment because they chose me to manage their portfolio of 7 properties and they were sophisticated investors. And it gave me the confidence of what I could go do next. But also, we had many, many years of working together. And then as they started to liquidate their portfolio, as their lives changed, I was able to help them with that too. And so it's been a really nice lifelong relationship, lifelong of the business, at least, relationship with them. And so really meaningful because I care a lot about the connection. And so having that connection at their dining room table and still having them in my life has been great.
Oh, what an amazing story. What do you think made them hire you? Why do you think they picked you?
Well, I think actually what mattered to them is they wanted to feel connected to whoever's managing their property. They didn't want it to be a transactional relationship. I think they wanted someone who was real, that was going to have a conversation, that was willing to sit at their dining room table with them and talk about much more than just the business and how we were going to manage their property. They, I think, believed that the relationship and the strength of the relationship is what would be the most meaningful for them. And I think it spoke to the fact that they'd been in a long-term relationship with another property manager, and they were looking for that same sort of thing.
Right. So it sounds like they were looking for a partner, not just a contractor to manage their property, someone who understood the vision and could execute and also treat their properties as their own.
Yeah, I think in our industry, I think there is something about, we do need to see ourselves as partners and experts in an industry. And we also need to align from a value perspective with our clients. And so we're out there in the world representing them. And I think it's important that there's alignment there. So, I may not be the perfect property manager for everybody, right? There might be something about my core values or the core values of our company that don't align with a particular investor and vice versa, right? And so I think that when you take the time to create relationship with people and really share where you're coming from and the way that you do the work you do, it allows them to align with you or choose that this isn't a great fit. But I think in that moment, there was alignment. And I know that as we grow our business, we try to be really forthcoming in our communication around who we are and how we do business. And it's really helped us to have wonderful relationships, whether with our clients, with our tenants, with our vendors, is because we're just really true to our values. And so it's a fit for the people who choose to work with us.
Yeah, and the importance of alignment with your client selection. And so what's an ideal client profile for you?
So I would say that ideal client profile for us is somebody, first of all, that aligns with our core values. Our core values are having a 360-degree perspective, that we're really respectful and think about what's happening with everybody engaged in the experience of this property, whether you're living in it or you own it or you're working on it, whatever. So all that needs to align. We care a lot about generosity of spirit. We care very much about doing a really good job. So we're always communicating these values as we're out there looking at clients. And so we want to be working with clients who have properties that align with our values, that they properties that they want to take care of, that they see themselves as stewards of housing, that they want the properties to be in really good condition. We all need to be thoughtful about how the property's managed and the money and all of the stuff and watching budgets and all of that, but also who's living in the property. Are we providing a property that is in good condition and where the people are living there are being responded to quickly, work is being done quickly? And so we want to find people who align with that idea around their properties. It allows us to do our job better. And so we're really, if someone has one single family home and they align with our values, we are happy to work with them. If they have a complex of 10 units or of 20 units and need us to manage that complex for them, we're a fit for them. And so it's really about how they see their properties and how they see the role that we're playing that helps us best align.
I love hearing that. And Jennifer, what's your favorite thing about property management or real estate?
I think, there's a couple things. One is that there's the internal piece. I think that creating an environment where people love where they work, and then that translates out to how they work with people, is one of the things I love the most, right? Is so creating a culture and an environment here at Fox that really is fun and place that's great to work and a place where we feel good about the work that we're doing allows us to then go out in the world and do the same thing. And so that's something I love about the work we do. And then as far as being out in the world and with our clients, I think I just love the partnership of it. I like being in a position where we can work with people, listen to what their needs are, understand their expectations, and give them information that they might not always have, give them a peace of mind that the people representing them, working on their behalf, care about them, care about representing them the way that they like to be represented, doing a good job for them, and making sure that we're being the experts in the industry and taking that off their plate. So I like both of those, both creating an internal system that allows us to do great work, and then also being in relationships with people where we're making a difference for them.
I love that. So, Jennifer, you've had your business for a long time. What would you say, like, how much time is dedicated for you to find new clients? And what are your mechanisms to find new clients?
So as a company, it's interesting because through the years, we have not needed to actively go out and find new clients. We have an incredible referral system coming in, and we do have vehicles that drive around that are property managers and showing specialists use. So we do have some advertising, but we've never really had to actively market and advertise. And that is what's interesting about that is we've grown every single year just doing that. But we have just decided on new initiative, and we are moving into in a more profound way into Denver and into the Metro Denver area. And so that's changing the way that we are thinking about marketing and advertising, right? It used to be just managing phone calls that came in, referrals that came in, and taking really good care of people. And now what we're doing is we're thinking about where are the areas where we're going to best serve people? Where are the areas where there's properties that are most aligned with our portfolio of management? We're getting much more thoughtful about that. And honestly, the way we're starting is all in relationship building. So we believe that it's not about just sending postcards out. It's about meeting with people, having lunches with people, joining organizations, really understanding an area. We already manage property in Denver, but it's a push to really get down into that area in a more profound way. And so I think we're looking at both marketing, advertising. We've rebranded and just kind of tightened that up. We've got a lot of collateral we can use now. And then we have staff that's really engaged and excited to go out there and keep meeting people and offering the service in an abundance type of perspective, not from a place of scarcity, but from a place of abundance that, there's enough work for everybody and we're available and want to work with people who are looking for what we're offering. So I'm excited to see how it all manifests because it's new to go out there and really put yourself out there versus
Right.
just have business come in. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a different exercise working with referrals and warm leads versus working cold leads and trying to reach different territories. It's a lot more vulnerable. I would say it's a very different approach, but if you really want to scale, I think that's the way. If you had a magic wand that would solve one of the biggest challenge of Fox right now, what do you think it would be?
Gosh, that is a very good question. I think it's just if that magic wand could help us execute more quickly, right? It's if it just could control time. We're doing some really great work as a company. We're working a lot on the business right now, not just in the business. Our leadership team is spending a lot of time on these initiatives, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time as you're working on your business and what next steps. And so, my gosh, if I could just freeze time, let us get all that done and then go out there in the world, that'd be great. And so I really like the direction we're going. I really like the things we're doing. I like what we're doing inside the company to have a really strong foundation for what's next. But it all takes time. And at the same time, our initiatives and our goals are, racing towards us, right? And so, if I could use a wand to control time, give myself more of it, I think that's probably the thing I could use right now.
Time, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't need more time, especially when you're trying to do something very strategic like that and you want, to create something efficient, not just mass market and hope for the best, but instead being very, very strategic. I love hearing that.
Intentional. We want to be intentional
Exactly.
about everything we're doing. Yeah.
Exactly. And Jennifer, in either the real estate space or in other industry, are there any influencers or leaders that you're looking up to, or who would be your dream dinner guest? And it can be someone deceased.
It could be someone who? What? Oh, deceased even. Okay. Goodness. Oh, gosh. Who? I think I was a member of an organization called Chief, which is made up of women executives. And, I think that if I were to have dinner guests, what I would love more than anything is to sit around a table of women who have grown businesses, done it through all different ways, listen to their best practices, what inspired them, because everybody has a different path to get there. And there's not a bad path, and they're all different. And I think we learn so much from each other. So I think what I would probably rather than one person is what inspires me the most is sort of group.
Mhm.
discussions and group engagement. And so I think what I would love is like, kind of sitting around the table with the top 8 CEOs in the country and hearing their stories and what worked for them. Because what I noticed being in this group is whether your company has 10 people in it or 10,000 people in it, there's a lot of the same stuff. It's a lot of the same conversations. It's a lot of the same challenges. Finding out how to balance your life, how to work through different, challenges for yourself, for your staff. And so I think it's really inspiring. And I do think that we can learn so much from men and women. It's not that, but there's something about women teaching women and women sharing what's been really hard and what's been really good and what they've learned. And so I think I'd have a dinner table, not a dinner guest.
Wow, that's a great answer. I love that. I've never had that answer before. I think this is brilliant. I would want to be invited to that dinner too.
I'll invite you too. Yeah, I'd invite you too.
I love that. And so you are part of a group called 100 women who care.
Oh,
Could you
yeah.
let our audience know more about this?
Well, this is interesting. And this is very grassroots and can be done anywhere. So, what the concept is that quarterly, a bunch of women get together and you can invite anybody anytime. And we commit to donating $100 a quarter to a nonprofit that the group chooses. So how it works is that everybody comes to the meeting and I would say maybe 15 people will have researched and brought some local nonprofit name to the meeting, and then we put the name in a fishbowl, and then we pull 3 names out, and whatever names get pulled, the person presents on that nonprofit. So it's not the executive director of that nonprofit. It's just like if I go out in the world and say, oh, I'm really interested in community food share. And I put community food share's name in the fishbowl and I get my name drawn. I stand up and present for community food share. And then everyone votes on one of the 3, and whatever we vote on, all of our $100 checks go to that. So with 100 women, we raised $10,000, and then we surprise that nonprofit with a check for $10,000.
Oh man, I love that. That's such a good idea.
And
And
it's
you're right, it can be done anywhere.
anywhere. So what we do, and one of the things that makes it work, is you focus on your local community. So
Mhm.
it's nonprofits in your local community. And then each nonprofit can win every 2 to 3 years. So we make sure that it cycles through. And interestingly enough, I was having lunch with some people, gosh, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, telling about it. And there were some men at the table, and they started a group called Guys Who Give. And they
Mm.
started in Louisville, Colorado, and they're doing the exact same thing. And they have branches now everywhere. So it's a group of men who gather 4 times a year. So that's what that is. So it's just generosity for the sake of generosity. But my gosh, when you pool your money, even people who don't have a lot to give, they can usually give $400 a year.
Wow,
And their
that's
money goes so far when you do it together. So
absolutely. I love all about it. I love the idea of putting it together. I love the idea of the woman pitching for a nonprofit that they believe in. I think that's such a great concept, and I'm hoping that it's going to give our listeners some ideas, to
yeah,
start something similar.
very easy to start. You get your first 10 friends together, and then you just keep inviting people. It is very easy. There's nothing really to it because everybody's doing individual donations.
I love
So
it. Such a great idea.
yeah.
And to go back to your business, Fox, so you did a big jump from 2002 to 2010. Could you let our audience know how you expanded so much the business and what was behind this?
Yeah. So I would just start with saying that I'm a big believer in team and partnership, and I don't believe any of us do anything alone. Like we need people around us. And I think that we bring strengths to everything, but we also, if we have partnership around us where they bring expertise and strengths we do not have, it helps us take our business to the next level. So in 2010, I had a business partner join me, and his expertise is in operations and finance. And so when the 2 of us joined together, it gave me the freedom and sort of the support behind me to go out and start building the business, because not only did I have someone who I knew could really handle the growth on that back end, but I had someone to bounce my ideas off of. If a new opportunity came, I had someone to talk to about it. We could make decisions together. And now I am a person who would rather play doubles tennis than singles, right? So I like winning and losing together. That is a choice that I make everywhere in my life. But for business, I believe for me, it was the key to success. I don't think we'd be sitting here today, 15, 14 years later, with a staff of 43 and revenues, almost did 5 million and all that. If it had just been me, I don't think I would have been able to do it all myself.
Mhm.
So it was a huge moment to have him join. And I believe that he helped me take the company to the next level. And then I would say, as we have added team members to our team, they also are critical to the growth, right? They are also critical to moving us forward. So yeah, I would say that that's the big thing, is like bringing in really great partnership and is someone who aligns with you, your values, and you have the same objectives. And I would tell you that so many of our decisions were easy to make because we see things the same way. But we also bring people into our company who have different perspectives and help us also see things from different perspectives. So that was the big move. And it was definitely a game changer. It definitely took my company from going this way to going that way.
Thank you for sharing. This is great. I love how you're making the analogy with tennis because I feel the same way. And I tend to tell people that I'm not really competitive by myself. I don't like to win alone. It's like a good meal. I like to share it. So I like how you're saying, like, I really like to play double. I also love winning as a team, not as
Yeah.
a, one-on-one. So I definitely can relate to that. And Jennifer, if you were to meet your 20-year-old self today, what would you tell her?
I think what I would tell my 20-year-old self is that we don't always know where we're going, but taking that step forward and looking at opportunities, if we wait around for it to happen to us, or we think we know for certain what's right for us, sometimes we miss it, right? So I think that if I were 20 years old or 22 coming out of college, trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, I think sometimes you just got to go do that first thing that you're inspired and excited to do and see what you learn from it. It doesn't have to be the thing you do forever. It never would have occurred to my 20-year-old self that I'd be getting into property management and real estate. That wouldn't have been the thing. But what I did is I took step forwards. I took initiative. I met with people. I started new jobs and was in new industries, and I learned what I was good at, and I learned where I had opportunities to grow. And I think that if we get paralyzed by indecision, we limit ourselves. There's so much we don't even know we don't know yet. And so when you talk to your 20-year-old self, it's like, just get out there and do it. Just get out there and take risks and learn new things and see what's possible. And I do think that if your 20-year-old self, and mine is an open mindset and believes that, things will work out, then you do have that, then they do. Because even if the track that you takes you in a direction that you pivot from and go somewhere else, you learned something there. There's nothing wrong with what you learned there. And so I tell my 20-year-old self is to take risks, go do different things, see what you learn from it. You will eventually land where it feels right.
I love that. This is such a good piece of advice. I think taking action is really the antidote to fear. And also, if you're unsure about something, just do it. Just start doing it. And this is how you can really crystallize what matters to you and also what you hate doing, because you can have all the fantasies and the ideas in the world, but unless you do the thing, you'll never know. You'll never know.
That's
And
right.
you might get paralyzed. So, and mindsets, absolutely. And risk taking, especially when you were 21, 22.
Well, and you just
Best
never know
moment
who
to
you're
do
going to
it.
meet, right?
Hmm.
You don't know who you're going to meet. And
Hmm.
and so the more we're willing to go out in the world, the more we're willing to talk about what we do. If you have a conversation with somebody and you're really, you're vulnerable, you're willing to talk, you're authentic, all of a sudden you're meeting new people and hearing new ideas and getting new opportunities. And so I think there's just an opportunity to be out in the world and realize that everybody out there is wanting to have these conversations, and there's so much opportunity to learn about yourself. And if you come from a place of generosity, honestly, that's not just about what you're going to get, but what you can learn or how you can help other people. And, that someone that you'd love to introduce them to. That's kind of what it's all about. If you come from a place of what's going to serve me, especially in this industry, if what your initiative is, what's going to serve me, how am I going to get what I need? It doesn't always land the same as when you come from a place of complete generosity. Like, what can I do to serve you? How can I help you?
Hmm.
Oh, who can I introduce you to? Referring other people, really being generous outside of yourself creates so much that comes back to you. And so I think, that's a really important part of growing your business. If you're too focused on just yourself and just your business and not on how you can help other people, it's limiting. So,
Absolutely. I always say serve before you sell.
yeah.
provide value before, you even try to have a conversation. Jennifer, what's coming up next for you? What's the one thing you want to achieve for the business, for Fox, for the next year?
We are focused really quite a bit on our 3-month, 1-year, 3-year, and 10-year goals, initiatives, putting our accountability structure in place and really evaluating all the roles and structure of our company. And it's helping us to move forward. And we're putting a lot of efficiencies in place, and really understanding accountability chart is making a big difference. And I think this year, my focus really is on the structure of the company being in such a sound place and such a clear understanding of where we're going that it allows us the foundation to take these next steps and really move into this new area and profoundly take on these new opportunities. Because really for us, this growth is it's not about me. It's about, as we grow, we are very conscious as a company that everybody here benefits from that growth. And so everyone wins. And so just getting everybody on board with, who are we as a company? What are our values? How are we out there in the world doing it? And then the accountabilities in-house that are about, our metrics and the goals that we're setting and hitting those goals. And so this year is really all about getting that set and creating a really strong foundation to launch from. So I'm focused on working on the business, not in the details of the business. And it's super rewarding and exciting. And I believe it's what's going to get us to the next level.
Absolutely. And that's super exciting. And Jennifer, where can people find you?
So, well, you can find us if you ever come to Boulder, Colorado. You can find us in Louisville, in Old Town Louisville on Front Street. We have a beautiful office. We've created an office for people to come to, but we have a flexible work structure. People work from home and in the office. And from a online perspective, you can find us at foxpropertymgmt.com is our website. And there's just information there, and you can see who we are. You can see everyone on our team, all their pictures, just kind of get a sense of who we are. We are starting to do quite a bit of newsletters and different content that we are adding to that website. And we care very much about being thought leaders and industry leaders. Here, there's a lot of law changes, a lot of changes in the industry, and we want to make sure we're staying on top of that. So we spend a lot of time on education and doing research so that we can keep our clients, our tenants, and even our vendors up to speed on, new policy and new ways of doing business. But I think that's probably the best place to find us is on our website. And then you can contact us from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jennifer. It was such a pleasure to have you on Parlez-vous CEO today. And I'm sure our audience can use a lot of pieces of wisdom that you shared today. It was really enlightening.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. Sort of unexpected and excited to jump on with you. And it's been a pleasure. So thank you.
And that wraps up today's episode on Parlez-vous CEO and our special real estate series with female leaders. I am Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I can't wait to join you again next week. Thanks for listening to Parlez-vous CEO today. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. It helps us keep going. And connect with us on Instagram at Parlez-vous CEO. I am Anne-Lise Cailliez, and I know some days are harder than others. On those tough days, think back to why you started. What you're doing today matters, even when you can't see the results yet. Ideas are great, but it's what you do with them that counts. Find everything we talked about today at parlezvousceo.com. See you next week, and you've got this.